From a young woman who narrowly avoids getting an axe stuck in her face, to a singer who unbelievably catches a beer in midair. Find out today about the luckiest people caught on camera. In Russia, a pedestrian was close to passing from life to death. Indeed, he was about to cross a very wide road when he was almost knocked down. As we can see in this video filmed by a dash cam, the young man was wisely waiting for the lanes to clear when a white Nissan Qashqai turned left. So far so good, except that the driver, surely not very concentrated, did not see a truck coming in the opposite direction. So without even braking, the Nissan turned. At that moment, the truck could not avoid it and was unable to brake in time. As a result, it simply hit the Nissan. In the middle of the scene, the pedestrian saw the car pass by a few centimeters away from him before the truck avoided running him over. Undoubtedly in shock, the young man naturally took a few seconds to realize that he had just passed by the worst. After that, he finally crossed the road as if nothing had happened. However, we imagine that he must see life differently since this event. After all, he narrowly escaped certain death. Sean Harrington almost ended up in the stomach of a tiger shark. Indeed, off Coolangatta, Australia, 1 kilometer off the coast, the 27-year-old man dived into shark-infested waters wearing a simple bird cage as protection. With this anything but prudent idea, Sean Harrington thought he was promoting his fishing clothing line, the Mad Hueys. But things quickly took an unexpected turn when an 8-foot tiger shark came to attack him. Panicked, he then had the reflex to swing his cage at the giant of the seas. This allowed him to divert its attention and to get back into the boat safe and sound. And it must be said that he did well, because this species of shark is particularly dangerous for humans. However, Sean Harrington is not about to forget this terrifying experience. In fact, the Australian commented on this event in the description of his YouTube video, published in January 2014. He then wrote, "A monster tiger shark came too close and almost took my leg off. Luckily, my bird cage saved my life. I thought I was going to die." Later, the survivor told Channel 9's Today reporters that it's probably one of the stupidest things I've ever done. And it is certainly not the internet users who will say the opposite. The many comments are not at all very kind to Sean Harrington. On Thursday, July 9, 2020 in Alpharetta, in the state of Georgia in the United States, a woman was quietly sunbathing in a deck chair while her children were swimming in a pool surrounded by trees. Unfortunately, this peaceful moment did not last very long, and for good reason. On the images captured by the family's surveillance video, we can see the 2 children playing in the water when suddenly, one of them asked his mother to run after hearing a tree crack. The woman quickly jumped out of her chair and ran straight ahead, narrowly avoiding the falling tree trunk and probably death. A scene that is chilling, especially since a fraction of a second later, the tree crashed on the mother's deck chair at the precise spot where she was. You can even hear her say, "Oh my God, I almost died." It is not known at this time what caused the tree to fall. But one thing is sure, the mother had the fear of her life. Moreover, following this terrible event, the woman simply went back home. As for her children, they did not delay in joining her. It is necessary to believe that this family avoided the tragedy of very little. Still in the United States, a dashcam filmed a scene as terrifying as surprising. Indeed, in the images, we can see a motorist fainting at the wheel of his Ford Mustang for a mysterious reason. As expected, the driver immediately lost control of his vehicle. But that's not the worst of it. The man then went off the road in an epic way in a field that almost led him to a certain death, especially since he almost hit a power pole. This could very well have been fatal. After that, he continued to drive for a few seconds before slowly coming to his senses. Fortunately, he managed to stop his car in time in the middle of the crop. However, at that moment, the driver certainly did not know what had just happened. It was only when he saw the images on his dashcam that he realized how lucky he was to escape unharmed. However, he couldn't say the same about his vehicle, which sustained a lot of damage. Axe throwing is an original activity in which the goal is to aim a wooden target with an axe. However, it is better to know all the right techniques before venturing into it. And it is not Ainsley Ray who will claim the contrary. Indeed, this young woman, aged 26, went in 2019 to the club Bad Axe, located in the United States, to try the axe throwing, except that everything did not go as planned. Filmed by her boyfriend, Ainsley Ray has just thrown the axe perhaps a little too hard. What almost led this experiment to the drama? The reason? Well, the axe hit the ground and rebounded on the wall at full speed before going back towards the young woman. This last one, seeing the danger, immediately turned around and lowered her head, thus avoiding receiving the projectile in the face. However, if we see Ainsley Ray smiling after the incident, we can imagine that she had a nice fright. Not sure that she decides one day to repeat the experience without knowing the good practices. At least we hope so. Driving a snowmobile is not always safe. If this activity is very entertaining, it can also represent some risks. The proof is in this very lucky biker. This man was quietly riding off-road on a mountain when suddenly he saw the ground collapsing and tumbling down the cliff a few meters below, almost taking him with it. The man, who was certainly born under a lucky star, stopped at the right moment. This saved him from being buried under huge layers of snow. Very quickly, the man understood that he had just escaped the worst. He then decided to back up carefully after he got off his motorcycle. Nevertheless, this biker will obviously never forget this ride in the mountains. After all, it is not every day that a person has the opportunity to trigger an avalanche under his feet. In any case, we hope that in the future, this man will be more vigilant. In 2016, a young man performed a quite dangerous act. Originally from Russia, he went to the Polozhaevska metro station, located in Moscow, not to use this means of transport, but rather to try to do a salto. And not just any way. He actually chose to do his incredible jump as the metro was entering the station, narrowly missing to crush him, which is obviously totally unconscious. Moreover, following the broadcast of this video sequence on social networks, the Acrobat was strongly criticized by some internet users. However, others have suggested that this was a simple video montage, given that the subway driver had no reaction when the young man made his jump. In any case, if this video did take place, it has surprised many people. Now here is another young man who is just as reckless. He was in an empty field where it is obviously possible to play sports, in this case soccer. So when he saw one of the metal soccer goals knocked down, he thought of straightening it. How did he do it? By performing a rather impressive jump. However, his gesture almost cost him a lot. Indeed, after having jumped on the bar placed on the ground, the cage completely turned over and missed by the same occasion to knock him out. Fortunately, he got out of it without a scratch because he felt that the cage was about to fall on him. Moreover, things could have ended very badly for this young man who preferred to laugh about the situation. During the 2015 Pinkpop Festival in the Netherlands, David Actor de Molen, the lead singer of the band John Coffey, had a barely believable reflex. As he stood balanced, carried in the air by the crowd, a fan suddenly threw a cup filled with beer directly into his. But instead of being a target, the singer nonchalantly caught the beer in midair with one hand before drinking it in one gulp, to the cheers and applause of the audience. Not surprisingly, since that day, David Archer de Molen is the epitome of class. On the other hand, the scene seems so surreal and improbable that some have claimed that the video was faked. But what is it really? In fact, it is not. Yes, the rumors were quickly disproved when the Dutch television station 3 voor 12, which filmed the video, confirmed that it was real. Despite this, many people continue to question the authenticity of this video sequence, which today has been viewed more than 7 million times. And we understand why. This singer, now considered a legend, has made a truly amazing gesture. During a car show, a young man decided to take up an unusual challenge. Indeed, his goal was to start a stopwatch and stop it after 9.91 seconds. All this while performing an incredible backward somersault. At first sight, it seems totally impossible. And yet, as surprising as it may seem, the man succeeded in the challenge, as we can see in this video sequence which, in a very short time, became viral on the web and mainly on TikTok, where it has been viewed several million times. This young man can be proud of his feat. In Thailand, a couple in a Mercedes-Benz C-Class was forced to stop briefly due to construction work. However, they were far from imagining that they were about to escape a tragic death. Indeed, on the video filmed by the dashcam of a car behind, we can see a steel pile of at least 4 tons unhooking from a crane and falling on the hood of the Mercedes-Benz, causing a huge shock for the people inside the vehicle. Immediately, the driver and the passenger got out of the car. By good fortune, they escaped alive, but with some injuries, mainly to their heads. They later went to a local hospital for treatment. Nevertheless, we have to believe that these two people really had an extraordinary luck, especially because if the vehicle had stopped a little further, the cylinder would have literally crushed its occupants. Romulus McNeil is certainly no ordinary man. This vocational counselor at the School of Engineering and Science in Conway, South Carolina, USA, had a moment that was both extraordinary and overwhelming. Indeed, on August 15, 2015, as he was leaving the school, the man was heading to the parking lot to retrieve his car as a torrential downpour came down on him. Suddenly, he was interrupted by a bolt of lightning. Lightning had in fact struck at his feet, causing him to lose his umbrella. Unbalanced and frightened, the miraculous man finally came to his senses and hurried to safety. But although he escaped unharmed, Romulus McNeil was no less shocked. He said after the incident, "It was quite a shock. It shook me up. I was a little shocked for a second. The umbrella flew out of my hand and I was completely disoriented. I ran to my car to take refuge." The good news is that in the future, he will be careful not to go out in times of lightning or thunder, as he himself stated. Now it's your turn to tell us in the comments which of these moments surprised you the most. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a like, to subscribe to the channel, and to activate the bell to receive all the notifications and not miss anything of our next videos. See you tomorrow, same time and same channel for a new video.